Thanks to the popularity of my Pokemon as SCPs series, along with a bunch of my other SCP-related videos, I've gotten a bunch of requests to try out Digimon as SCPs. But most consistently and specifically, I've gotten that request from someone who goes by Sam Blitz. And I love the idea, and even if Digimon isn't quite as popular as Pokemon nowadays, I think this certainly has as much potential as that other series. So, like I did in my Disney Mortal Kombat video, I will commit to doing a sequel to this if this video gets 6,000 likes by the time I'm back from vacation in a week. Also, quick heads up, during the first drawing there was a power outage, so I lost a chunk of the screen recording, which is why that drawing's going to start with the rough silhouette already built. Sorry about that, but without further ado, Digimon SCPs. Let's get it.
Hit like if you want, subscribe if you feel like, but either way, enjoy the show.
Good evening and welcome back, everyone. In today's lecture, we will be discussing entities that fall into yet another subcategory of SCPs, these ones being SCP-D. They are classified as such for being entities from an alternate reality to our own that is entirely constructed from digital data. It was first discovered by a department that was specifically constructed to study digitally based SCPs, and may be more commonly known to some of you as the department out of Site 15 that specifically researches the likes of SCP-4335, which resides within a server in the popular video game Minecraft, as well as SCP-1471, which exists through a phone application. So far as we can tell, this digital world exists in a perpetual loop. All of the hundreds of entities found within it seem able to be killed, but are always promptly resurrected in an egg form, to then grow through various stages of evolution until killed again. The digital world could be elaborated on in great length itself, but I will deliver the information on it through the course of discussing some of the entities we have discovered within. Starting with item number SCP-D015. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. Like all entities under this subclass, D015 can relatively reliably be contained within the confines of the digital world, but we have brought a specimen of it out into our own world for study. This specimen, SCP-D015-1, is housed in a 30 by 30 foot cell. The floor is lined with electric conductant panels, and if the creature acts up too violently, the panels are to be activated to give the creature a shock of 10,000 volts of electricity to subdue it. If it continues to struggle, the voltage may be increased to 16,000, but is not to be increased further, else risk killing the entity. Personnel who enter containment must do so only after the entity has been subdued. Description: D015 is an 18-foot tall insectoid and partial humanoid creature. It stands on hind legs but has 4 arms protruding from its upper back and a pair of wings. It visually resembles elements of a saw stag beetle from our own world, having long, powerful pincers emerging from the front of its head. It has proven that if it gets any being within the grip of these pincers, it will clamp down until it has crushed their bones or even cut them in half. The entity was first discovered upon the first time our operatives from our digital research team, which at the time was a highly classified and clandestine group, and as such took on the name the DIGIMON, entered the digital world with the use of devices we shall discuss later on. The Foundation's first venture into this realm was on March 7th, 1999. 7 operatives arrived on an island in this realm that appeared relatively similar to a natural forested space in our own world, though with some differing plant life and many anomalous entities. Upon arriving, the operatives were promptly attacked by D015, which seemed to be acting on aggressive animalistic instincts. Well, it has been found that many entities within this realm have high levels of intelligence and are able to speak, seeming to adapt the language of whatever being from our world enters their own. D015, on the other hand, appeared to have no such ability and had the intellect of a predator animal from our own world. It managed to kill one of the operatives sent and sever the leg of another. Our operatives entered this world with ample firepower, but their bullets were largely ineffective against the highly durable shell of D015. Luckily, the DIGIMON quickly found their own digital monster allies within this world that proved capable of warding off the creature for the time being. But it would not be the last time it presented itself as a threat. Upon later entrance to the digital world, further operatives elected to capture and transport this creature to our own world for further study, among the first group of entities brought back for research purposes within Foundation walls. Prior to discussing one of the first friendly entities met within the digital world, I will first elaborate on how it was that we discovered this realm in the first place. With the internet becoming a more commonly accessible household tool in the late 90s, our operatives began finding evidence of various SCPs that utilized this to their advantage. Further research into this eventually led to one operative, Professor Izzy Izumi, to discover a pair of contrasting signals that seemed to be constantly searching the internet and learning and evolving as if they were artificially intelligent, though this was a less commonly used term in the late 1990s. Upon studying further, he was able to translate the underlying code of both signals. One seemed to be a cry for help, an entity or group of entities seeking assistance from another world. The other, seemingly from the same world, was scouring through the darker, more hateful regions of our internet for fuel to cause some form of destruction. Unfortunately, this force is still a present risk today, and has become much more powerful as our own internet has expanded and more forums have been created that rampantly spread hatred and polarization, though this is more so a risk to the digital world than our own. Anyhow, jumping back to those early days, Professor Izumi was eventually able to delve further into the cry for help, and found buried within its code a sort of anomalous software with instructions on how to activate it. He built a set of devices that he could download the software into, and with these he was able to transport himself and the initial 6 other operatives into the digital world for the first time. This was where they met some of the entities responsible for the cry for help, including item number SCP-D008, Object Class, Safe, Special Containment Procedures. D008 is permitted to roam about Site-15 freely so long as it does not step outside or reveal itself to civilians. Field Operative Tai Komiya is to ensure the entity follows protocols, and if it does not, he is to promptly return it to its world of origin. Though, so long as there are no further issues, it may remain to work alongside our field ops on particularly dangerous missions. Description: SCP-D008 is a 5-foot-tall yellow dinosaur. It appears similar to a Tyrannosaurus rex, but has claws more akin to that of a Therizinosaurus. It has an unusually large head for the size of its body, though a very short and stunted tail. It also possesses the draconic ability to project flames from its mouth, though does not commonly do so in streams of flames, but instead in one small burst at a time. Like many of the entities encountered, it has the ability to evolve into dramatically larger and more powerful states. An additional ability of the devices created by Professor Izumi and the software within them allows the user to temporarily convert some of their own emotional energy into a digital signal, which is then channeled through the device into a digital monster of their choice to allow them to temporarily transform into a more powerful state. The device user and digital entity can only maintain this for a limited time, however, as it is draining to both parties involved. D008's classification changes as it takes on alternate forms, and perhaps we will discuss some of these forms at a later date. This entity does have the ability to speak and has a fair degree of intelligence, though emotionally speaking it more closely resembles a child than a full-grown adult. This entity, among others, chose to send a call through to our world's internet only after an entity from their realm began seeking power from our own to find a way to destroy the digital world. It had grown tired of their world's constant cycle of death and rebirth and wanted to bring about an ultimate end to its entire world's existence once and for all. This entity was the source of the second signal that Professor Izumi had initially discovered. We have not yet been able to neutralize this threat, but since the first traversal into this realm in 1999, we have sent more agents in attempts to assist, in exchange for free reign to bring entities back and forth for further study, as well as utilizing some entities for assistance in more dangerous confrontations within our own world. Initially, it was thought that bringing these entities into our world for study was unwise and caused unnecessary risk. Unfortunately, it has become necessary. Not only have some of these entities proven able to transport themselves into our world in physical form, despite their digital origins, other organizations have discovered the way to enter the digital world and bring back entities for their own, less academic purposes. In the decades since first entering the digital world and creating partnerships with some of its entities, we have had various agents desiring to partner with some of these creatures, such as how some operatives have created bonds with entities of the subclass SCP-P. Unfortunately, our Foundation is not the only group that has managed to enter and create allies in this realm. By 2001, the Chaos Insurgency had also cracked the code sent through and was able to transport their own agents into the digital world to capture entities and bring them back to our own. While they are less inclined to be cooperative with any entities from this realm, some in their ranks have made partnerships with these creatures. One of the cases I speak of involves item number SCP-D408, Object Class, Keter. Special Containment Procedures. If captured, this entity is not to be returned to the digital world, as it could then likely be found again by the insurgency once more and brought back to our own. It is also not to be killed because, as mentioned, these entities live in a constant cycle of birth and death, so upon dying in our own world, it would soon after be reborn again in the digital world once more. It is instead to be housed in a standard containment cell. Food is only to be placed in containment through a series of alternating sliding slats in the doors to ensure the entity cannot attack or harm those attempting to feed it. If entrance into containment is necessary, entrants are to work in groups of 3 or greater and carry heavy tranquilizers. Description: D408 is a 7-foot-tall androgynous humanoid fox entity with golden fur. Its only clothing is a set of purple sleeves, on which is the Chinese symbol for yin and yang. While appearing fairly lean and agile, the entity shows remarkable strength, surpassing that of top-level powerlifters. It can also leap heights of up to 30 feet and run at least 32 miles per hour. The entity also has a myriad of more mystical abilities, and is able to summon razor-like leaves to shoot at its opponents, and even summon glimmering diamond-like shards for the same purpose. It can also emit a light blue flame from its paws to further enhance the power of its melee assaults. Its evolved forms, accessible through its partnership with its insurgency operative, somewhat resemble that of SCP-953, or more broadly, the kitsune from Japanese mythology. It can also take on forms even more heavily resembling a human, at which point it becomes massively powerful and incredibly difficult to subdue. It was first discovered when a Chaos Insurgency operative brought it into the field specifically to attack an SCP operative and his own digital monster ally. The partner of this entity is a woman named Rika Nonaka, whom our psych evaluation has deemed her only to be part of the Chaos Insurgency because she thrives in conflict and competition, not because she is in particularly strong alignment with their goals. Some have suggested she could be converted to our side, and her skill set could be greatly utilized as a field operative of our own, though I highly recommend against pursuing this, as she and her SCP partner are far too unpredictable to trust. Now, I apologize for cutting today's lecture short, but another containment breach in the Ruby Sector biome has meant my attention is needed elsewhere this week. If you would like me to continue this lecture series on the subclass of SCP-D, please provide me with more specific requests, and I will consider them for future discussion. Thank you, and have a good evening.
Well, will this video get a sequel? I will find out 1 week from today, because as I sorta mentioned at the top of this video, I will be on vacation by the time this video is coming out, hence me not being in the comment section today, and the next 2 videos on this channel will be compilation videos of previous series on this channel. Very excited to have a week off to rejuvenate, and excited to come back and see what you all thought of this video. And if you've got any other great suggestions for Digimon that could make cool SCPs. But besides that, that's all for today, except of course for ending this video on some kind of positive or inspiring note, and the thought I want to leave people with is probably one that I've used before, but I'm thinking of because I'm taking some time off, which is that if you don't schedule time to rest, your body will force you to. It will make you get sick in some way so that you have to take a bit of time away from what you're doing. And I was personally starting to feel myself slowing down and getting a little tired. I probably would have hit a point of burnout if I went like this for another 2 months or so. So I've learned to head it off at the pass and take the time off I need now. I hope that's inspiring. I love you all, and I'll see you all in a week. Goodbye.